erase it out, then I should just erase it out most of the time, as that will really be faster in the long run and probably still hold a more true image of what I'd intended when I first was laying it out. Whereas I find that details like expressions and things get lost intensely when I get to a more finished stage. I really enjoy the energy and personality conveyed when I do my expressions in sketch mode, because it's really just focused on trying to capture the essence of whatever I'm trying to draw rather than focusing too much on the finer details. So there we go. We now have Professor Flitwick and Professor Sprout. And Professor Sprout is holding her her mug of eggnog. I wanted to say hot cocoa. It's a hot cocoa kind of scene, but I love eggnog and I miss it so much. It's just not sold around here, and I don't know what I can do about that. I could try and make it. I've looked up a recipe, but it involves buying booze, and who has the money for booze when you're a young parent? You're not gonna drink booze. Like, except in eggnog. And then you're not gonna drink a lot of eggnog then. And I could make it without booze, but, you know, the recipe that I have calls for booze. I don't know if it's going to try and do a good thing with the flavor otherwise. So I like the idea of her holding it not by a handle. Because let's say that it's warm eggnog. I can't remember. It's been that long since I've had eggnog. I can't remember if it's ever served warm. But I think in this case it would be nice for it to serve warm. Okay. So there are Professor Sprout and Professor Flitwick. And we'll get Professor McGonagall in there. You know, I feel like Professor McGonagall is more likely to sit on her own than Professor Dumbledore, but you know, for some reason it feels more proper for Professor Dumbledore to be sitting across them in his big chair. And this big chair doesn't seem so big now that they're fairly big. That is pretty invasive, man. But, you know, I also like it. I'm forgetting to save as well. I usually compulsively save, but I haven't really enjoyed, until just recently, what I've been doing with the pictures, so that tends to be the way of it. I just don't start to save until I'm like, oh, I have something to lose. Even though I'd be sad to lose it at any stage, it's still just that sort of mental thing of, oh, I really like how this is going, I don't want to lose it. Whereas right now it's kind of like, eh. Though I do like it's getting better. Now that I've put in Flitwick and Sprout, it feels a lot better than when I was trying to manhandle the couch into it somehow. Maybe I can draw McGonagall in here. I do mostly have the movie McGonagall in my head because Maggie Smith, I think, is just such a powerful character. I'm giving random bangs just to figure out the angle. I don't think that's the hairstyle I'm going to keep. But yeah, like I would feel weird to try and draw Maggie Smith in here now that I'm mostly drawing people as I view them. I'm mostly just trying to... I'm not very good at statuesque. Like, Maggie Smith it comes off as a tall, imposing figure, even though she may not actually be very tall or imposing in person. And so my vision of McGonagall, of course, includes a tall and imposing nature, but especially sitting, how am I going to draw that? It's just not very easy. So, I don't know, the perspective looks a little weird, but also it's kind of what I'm going for. I'm gonna stick with it for now and see if it still makes sense as I go along. So I want Yeah, let's have McGonagall actually taking a sip of her eggnog with both hands, because that's a rather nice pose. And let's say the cups are a little bit large, at least McGonagall and Sprouts and probably Dumbledore's cups are going to be a bit large. But yeah, the weird angle is just because I like the idea. It adds a little bit more sense of depth and interest to the viewer to feel like McGonagall's just sort of like quite close to the camera compared to the other ones, and that the couch is coming quite close to everybody. Here we go. So hopefully my microphone isn't too irritating. Hopefully it's in a good spot. Hopefully the music isn't too loud or obnoxious, and hopefully it hasn't cut it back out. Hopefully nobody's talking in the chat and expecting me to look, because I'm just terrible at looking at the chat. And hopefully if any of you are out there listening, that you don't find my rambling too strange or distracting or unenjoyable. My partner is eternally encouraging and says that it's rather nice and that I keep a good pace, but I don't know if that's always the case. I've only done a few streams so far, and I think at least one of them he wasn't actually here for. I hadn't really considered McGonagall the bare arms sort of person. I still don't think of her as a bare arms sort of person, but we'll see how we go. Maybe I can redesign her clothes. See, this is the problem. I make plans for things that would, take a lot more time than I actually have to do things. And that's how you end up with my fourth request, which was, not bad. But I wanted to do a lot more detail. I wanted to do the young lady's full profile picture, and I could only do the bust of her and her partner because I'd already put way too much time into it by that point compared to what I was really able to do. I've made sure not to set myself any particular limits in terms of time and whatever I can do, but I still have mental goals that I'd like to reach, and it already saddens me that I'm not going to reach 3 requests done today, which is the lower limit that I'd prefer on every day to make sure everybody gets their requests in decent time. But hopefully I might have another couple days where I can actually get out at least 6 in a day, because that's rather nice. Of course, when people ask for more detail in their pictures, then I want to at least try and match it, and especially because they tend to be the coolest ideas. Like, part of the mutualism is that I enjoy drawing cool ideas, so I'm very happy when people give me interesting things to draw. And everything counts as interesting, because I'm so stuck in my narrow bubble of, things that I find interesting. I'm super glad that people are asking me for things like pets and couples pictures and things, because I don't draw those at all on my own. And when I'm not exposed to other people and I don't have exposure, where people don't know about my art, then people aren't asking me to draw those things. I'm not getting commission for those things because nobody knows that I draw. I stopped drawing for 10 years. How is anybody going to know to ask me to draw? So, in this way, drawing requests is mutually beneficial in that I can give people what they want, and also the number of things that I draw expand so that I can say, yeah, you want me to draw a kitty cat, I will draw a kitty cat. You want me to draw fantasy characters, I've got fantasy characters here. It's very nice. It's a very nice experience. I'm really happy with how the requests have been going so far, and I think I would like to continue doing them in the future. I definitely would like to continue doing them in the future. I had maybe a couple poor experiences with request threads in the past where people got rather impatient, like it had taken me a week to get through 20 people, and I had people getting rather impatient that I hadn't gotten to their request. And, you know, it's just like, if you're not actually paying for the request, then why are you so insistent that I get it done? At no point do I say I will definitely do every request that somebody gives me. I'm having a lot of trouble with this hand. I think I need to stop trying to put in the thumb. I think this is an angle in which the thumb is not really necessary. If this were a picture that I intended to finish right now, and if I ever intend to finish it in the future, then I'll probably go back and do some of this, but if it were one that I had more serious, or that I was getting paid to finish, then I would probably spend quite a lot of time on... Is this still from the Kaiba soundtrack? Yeah, it is? Okay. I would do things like look up reference for hand positions and furniture positions and layouts and fireplaces and all of that, but I'm really trying to draw as much as I can in as little time as possible, since I don't have a whole lot of time to do everything that I like to do. But the idea is that the sooner that I finish these requests, the sooner I can, you know, devote time to other projects again, that I can possibly consider doing more requests. You know, the more that I test myself in how quickly I'm able to handle various things. No, I don't think I will give her a waistcoat. I've already done that for Professor Sprout. No, I think I was going for just a long dress like so. And I was thinking a little bit shorter. Yeah, it's not Maggie Smith, but I'd still kind of like her. I still kind of like her this way. I wanted a hairstyle that seemed fitting of somebody who metamorphs into a cat. And I think a short fluffy thing is kind of nice for that. I don't know if I'll keep it though, because it's really not McGonagall. Like, McGonagall is absolutely severe but fair. She's my grandmother. Like, my grandmother was a lot like McGonagall. A tall, imposing figure who is severe but fair. And I think that's why the character holds a lot of meaning to me and nostalgia for me, so that, you know, when I saw that I got to draw her in this, I was like, yay, let's do it. Let's do it. Was it just these 4? I need to check again. Make sure I'm not missing anybody. I tend to have a good memory about these things, but it's always good to be sure. You can't always... Like with the unicorn onesie thing, I don't know if reading it extra times would have helped me realize that I was interpreting onesie wrong. But I did, like... I did think that maybe if I read it a few more times or worked on it with that up, that maybe it would have occurred to me more quickly that onesie, in this case, was sort of the sleep suit thing rather than the baby grow thing that I had been interpreting it as. I don't know where the interpretation came from. Like, I don't remember ever seeing a body, or baby grow as it's called, depending on who you are and where you are. I don't think I've ever seen it referred to as a onesie, so I don't know why I always thought it was a onesie.